The president breaking records, that speech lasting a total of an hour and 48 minutes, making it the longest State of the Union address ever.
Dozens of Democrats decided to skip it altogether, and while the president set his initial focus on the economy, he also touched on immigration and some new proposals. Our Liz Nagy live in the newsroom now with more on the president's message and how both parties are responding to it tonight. Liz.
Mark Michelle, President Trump said he's led what he called a turnaround for the ages during his first year of his second term in the longest State of the Union ever. The president trying to convince Americans that he's improved the economy, lowered crime, and removed illegal immigrants. Tonight, ABC News polling shows President Trump is underwater on a number of those issues.
The President of the United States.
President Trump entered congressional chambers to raucous cheers from a packed house of Republicans and a silent and significantly slimmer crowd of Democrats. More than 70 chose to skip the State of the Union in protest. For a president who was elected in part to stabilize the economy, Trump bragged of his signature tax cut.
But we held strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Those tax cuts were funded in part by President Trump's sweeping tariffs struck down just days ago by the Supreme Court. 3 of the justices who dissented sat just feet from the president.
I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling.
In what seemed to be a new policy announcement, President Donald Trump said his administration will match up to $1,000 a year to some Americans to help them save for retirement.
My administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year.
President Trump addressed Congress as he's locked in yet another partial government shutdown as Democrats demand reforms to immigration enforcement.
Tonight I'm demanding the full and immediate restoration of all funding for the border security, homeland security of the United States.
Trump steered clear of talks of mass deportation. In a call for a visual demonstration, Trump said,
"If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens." Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. To end deadly sanctuary cities.
As the president spoke for nearly 2 hours, showering praise on his own policies and guests, some Democrats departed, joining a protest outside in the shadow of the Capitol. Tonight, as the Pentagon continues to build the U.S. military presence in the Middle East, the president also accused Iran of what he called sinister ambitions, saying he prefers a diplomatic solution and reaffirming that Iran will never be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. The Democratic response tonight came from Virginia's newly elected governor, Abigail Spanberger. She pushed back against President Trump's claims of a thriving economy and a nation, saying costs remain too high for most Americans.
In his speech tonight, the president did what he always does. He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges, so many of which he is actively making worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against one another, neighbor against neighbor. And sometimes he succeeds. And so you have to ask, who benefits from his rhetoric, his policies, his actions, the short list of laws he's pushed through this Republican Congress? Somebody must be benefiting. He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot.
Also of note tonight, President Trump never mentioned the Epstein files during his speech. More than a dozen survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse attended tonight's State of the Union speeches as guests of Democratic lawmakers who continue to push for the full release of the Epstein files. Liz Nagy, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.